As a mother of three, just like all parents, we'd never ever want to worry about whether our child is going to be treated as a juvenile offender or as an adult offender. We all pray that we can have children that never have to go through any of these issues. But within the criminal justice system, they bring different presumptions to the table. The juvenile courts operate under the presumption that offenders are immature in three different senses of the word. Their development is incomplete, their judgment is less than mature, and their character is still developing. An adult court, in contrast, presumes that the defendant is mature, competent, responsible, and unlikely to change. With this in mind, the ideas of human natures and developments and justice as much as serious juvenile crimes, because people neither expect children to be criminals nor expect crimes to be committed by them. The unforeseen intersection between childhood and criminality creates a dilemma that most of us find difficult to resolve. The only way out of this dilemma is either to redefine the offense as something less than a serious crime or to redefine the offender as someone who is really not a child. The past 100 years, American society has most often chosen the first approach. It has redefined juvenile offenses by treating most of them as delinquent acts and to adjudicate within a separate juvenile justice system that is theoretically designed to recognize the special needs and immature status of young people and emphasize rehabilitation over punishment. Two goals guiding beliefs about young people have prevailed. First, that juveniles have different propensities than adults. Therefore, they need to be adjudicated in a different type of venue. And second, that they have different potential for change than adults, and therefore merit a second chance in an attempt at rehabilitation. States have recognized that conduct alone, that is, the alleged criminal act, should not by itself determine whether to invoke a heavy hand of an adult criminal justice system. In recent years, though, there have been a dramatic shift in the way juvenile criminals were viewed by policymakers and the general public, one that has led to widespread change in policies and practice concerning the treatment of juvenile offenders. Rather than choosing to define offenses committed by the youth as delinquents, societies increasingly opt to redefine them as adults and transfer them into the adult court and criminal justice system. Most reasonable people agree that a small number of young offenders should be transferred to the adult system because they pose a genuine threat to the safety of other juveniles. The severity of their offense merits a relatively more severe punishment, or their history of repeated offending bodes poorly for their ultimate rehabilitation. However, this does not describe the tens of thousands of young people who are currently being prosecuted in the adult system, and a large portion of them who have been charged with nonviolent crimes. While the wholesale transfer of criminal court of varied categories of juvenile offenders starts to become the rule rather than the expectation, this represents a fundamental change to the very premise that the juvenile court was founded on, that adolescents and adults are different. There are many lenses through which one can view debates about transfer policies. I ask whether the distinction we draw between people of different ages under the law are sensible in the light of what we know about our different ages in various aspects of intellectual, emotional, and social functioning. More specifically, on a basis of what we know about development, should a boundary be drawn between juvenile and adults in criminal matters, and if so, what age should it be drawn at? Developmental psychology broadly defined concerns the scientific study of change in physical, intellectual, emotional, and social development over the life cycle. Developmental psychologists are mainly interested in the study of normative development. The concern is whether the study of normative development indicates that there are specific reasons to warrant the differential treatment of young people and adults in our legal system, especially with regard to the age period under most under current policy scrutiny, the years between the ages of 12 and 17. First, this age range is inherently transitional time. There are rapid and dramatic changes in the individual's physical, intellectual, and emotional and social capabilities. If there is a period in a lifespan during which one might choose to draw a line between incompetent and competent individuals, this is it. Second, adolescence is a period of potential malleability. Experiences in the family, peer group, school, and other settings still have a chance to influence the course of development. To this extent, to the extent that malleability is likely, transferring juveniles into the criminal justice system that preludes the rehabilitative response may not be very sensible public policy. However, to the extent that adolescence and malleability is limited to their transfer to the adult system is less worrisome. Finally, adolescence is a formative period during which a number of developmental trajectory becomes firmly established and increasingly difficult to alter. Many adolescents' experiences have a tremendous culpative impact. Bad decisions and poorly formulated policies pertaining to juvenile offenders may have unforeseen and harmful consequences that are hard to undo. It is true that a bullet wound would hurt just as much from a weapon fired by a child as when it is fired by an adult. That is an argument, but this argument is a red herring since we comfortably acknowledge that there are numerous situations where mitigating circumstances should be taken into account. When trying a defendant such as insanity, emotional duress, and self-defense, immaturity is another mitigating factor. People may differ in their opinions about the extent to which and the ways of which the age at which an offender's maturity should be considered in a court decision. One person might believe that a boundary should be drawn at 18, another at 15, and yet another at 13. Nevertheless, ignoring the offender's age entirely is like trying to ignore an elephant that has wandered into the courtroom. You can do it, but most people will notice that something smells foul.